sleepless night. No way to make things right. Feels like another world. I make miles from my girl. I'm not one that's made to roam. Now time to come back home.
Hi everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to another video. And today I'd like to talk about Chuck Dixon's thoughts on the takeover of anime and manga. But before I do that, I just want to show my face real quick. Before I do that, let's go back to these pictures here of Rebecca from Eden Zero versus, I guess, the new She-Hulk. Now, just look at the character on the right, look at the character on the left. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Rebecca is beautiful, and I don't know what the fuck She-Hulk is. I guess she's a tranny, or God knows what that is. And just the personification of the absolute state of Marvel Comics right now. First of all, I thought She-Hulk was green anyway, but I guess not. She must be a villain, because red's associated with an evil color. But anyway, you know, another thing, too, with the whole Marvel Comics, DC Comics, American Comics, is nothing is ever seen through. No arcs are ever truly resolved. There's constant reboots with no definitive end. With Eden Zero, which really has become my favorite series right now, and the creator, Hiro Mashima, before Eden Zero, worked on Fairy Tail, which I believe went 63 volumes, and before that, Rave Master, which I'm not sure about that one, but I would imagine went pretty long as well. Not as long as Fairy Tail, though. And was seen all the way through, follows arcs, follows a beginning, middle, and end, and terrific. Whereas with Marvel and DC Comics, and granted, I grew up reading DC Comics, big fan of Batman in the mid-2000s, it's been thrown by the wayside. And with modern Marvel and DC Comics, no writer or artist sees anything through. They're given their assignment of 5 issues, they do it, and they move on to the next assignment. And constantly, they'll tell you, like, a new reboot's coming. Like, right now with Venom, I think, where they got Brian Hitch as the artist, and I think Al Ewing the writer. How long is that going to last? Al Ewing will probably stay as the writer, but Brian Hitch guaranteed to do 5 or 6 issues and then be replaced. It's just the way it is. So I know I'm a little late to the party, a little hesitant to join things, because the thing with me is I've always felt that manga was more daunting of a task to undertake, just because of how long many of the series are, many of the series that I want to get into. As a kid, I was a big fan of Dragon Ball Z from Toonami, and in the mid to late 2000s, I think 2008 was when the first Viz-Big volume was released, and I owned all the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z Viz-Big volumes. I bought them back then, starting in 08, and I think it ran for a few years up to like the early 2010s. I read all of them, and because I never really watched Dragon Ball all the way through, because what happened back in the day is they only had Dragon Ball Z, and then eventually, when they were doing the reruns of Dragon Ball Z, they brought Dragon Ball on, and didn't really show it in order. That's why a lot of the fans grew up watching that on TV. And a lot of the series that I've been wanting to check out that are extremely long, such as Fairy Tail, which I've seen the anime on and off, but the fact is, I mean, there's over 200 episodes, 63 volumes in the manga, very long, very daunting task. You have Naruto, which is a very long series, One Piece, which, shit, that's like over 1,000 episodes, Bleach, you know, a shorter series that's more recent, I guess, Attack on Titan, despite I've heard the controversy of the ending. You have ongoings like My Hero Academia. So there's all these other series for me to check out, and Chuck Dixon is 100% right. So we're going to go to this article on Bounding into Comics, if I can figure out how to minimize myself, because you don't want to see me, do you? I don't know, maybe some of you do. But here we are on Bounding into Comics, which is a pretty good site. It gives you a lot of insight. I actually saw an article here the other day about David Harbour, and he's going on about socials, and he's the dude who was in the Black Widow movie, which was a complete shit show. And it's like, dude, you're a millionaire, probably even a billionaire. You donate your money if you're into socialism. I mean, holy shit. But Bounding into Comics, I don't know what this manga is here, but prolific Batman writer Chuck Dixon explains why manga is wiping the floor of American comics. And Chuck Dixon, mind you, has been blacklisted from the industry. Last thing he did was Bane Conquest back in, I think, 2016 or 2017. But the dude is an iconic Batman writer, did some of the best Batman stories. Did like the solo Nightwing series for, I think, 75 issues or so. Did the solo Robin series back in the day, the Tim Drake Robin. No Man's Land, which is one of my favorite story arcs. Nightfall, of course, iconic for Bane breaking Batman's back, introducing Azrael. I mean, prolific in terms of the Batman history. And this came out a few days ago, written by John F. Trent, a longtime Batman scribe and co-creator of Bane with Graham Nolan. Chuck Dixon recently, and Graham Nolan, I believe, was also blacklisted from the industry as well for his political leanings, because you have to be a leftoid if you want to write in American comics. Explain why Japanese manga is wiping the floor of American comics. Dixon uploaded his 65th episode of Ask Chuck Dixon to his YouTube channel, where Ricardo Garcia asked him, "What is your theory and thoughts on why manga is wiping the floor with American comics?" I'll have to check out his YouTube channel, because I always like to listen to podcasts at work. Dixon answered, "It's not too hard to figure out, really. It really isn't. There's a lot of dedication, passion, and craft in manga comics, and that's missing almost entirely from the big two." He elaborated, "Marvel and DC still run the store here. They are still market leaders, big names, really just in terms of producing properties such as movies. And unfortunately, there's no variety there. There's nothing really different. There's not something for everybody the way that there is for manga." That's right. Hopefully you'll see my video shortly, my review of Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, my review of that first volume, which will come up later in the week, and how that's a slice of life story, different to, with Marvel and DC, it's all superhero cape shit. My Hero Academia is also a sort of superhero thing, and I guess you can say Dragon Ball is sort of superhero, although it's martial arts and there's aliens and shit like that in it, so like, we'll check out this one in a minute. Dixon then touted the artwork in manga. It's not hard to see. The artwork is attractive. Again, let's go back to really best girl in Eden Zero is Humara, but Rebecca, she's hot as hell. Look at her versus She-Hulk. I mean, come on, man. The choice is yours. Let's see. It's attractive. It's engaging. It's interesting. It's varied. So there's a lot of reasons to like manga, and not a whole lot of reasons to like what's out now, because what's out now for the big two is for the most part poorly crafted. There are a few exceptions, correct? Jorge Jimenez, one of them. Brian Hitch, another one. But for the most part, it's poorly crafted, poorly conceived, with obvious political agenda to everything, no variety. Yeah, make Black Batman and then broke Batman, right? So here's Chainsaw Man. I saw the trailer. They're making an anime of this. Looks fucking cool. I'll have to check out the manga of this eventually. There's so much variety, man. That's exactly it. Dixon then expanded on the variety Japanese manga has. In Japanese manga, there's golf comics. There's not one comic about golf. There's multiple comics about golf. There's actually a lot of baseball manga, too. A lot of people in Japan, and you see this from time to time, a lot of the Japanese players defect, come over here to play Major League Baseball. They're really into sports, and particularly baseball, from what I understand. He continued, "I've made a reference on these videos to one of my favorite mangas. It's about fishing. It's just about fishing. It's not about vampires fishing on another planet, or witches fishing, or fishing after a zombie apocalypse. It's just guys fishing. Surf casts and whatever. Fishing from boats, fishing on the shore, fishing on the banks of rivers, and the stories are fascinating, beautifully drawn, and beautifully realized." I bet. I agree. He then contrasted with American comics. But here, what do we get? We get superheroes, and poorly done superheroes. They can't even write Superman properly. Superman, one of the probably easiest, most iconic superheroes, and Captain America, forget it. They can't do that in 2021. Absolutely not. You've seen it now. You see it in the fucking Winter Soldier show that they did, even as a television show. It's superheroes. They're all avatars for the writer's political agenda. It's kind of tiresome. They're not particularly well drawn. They're not particularly well realized. Like I said, a few exceptions, like you mentioned before, such as Hitch, Jorge Jimenez, and I'm sure a few others that I'm leaving off. But they do self-insert. Like, the writers constantly self-insert. It's pathetic, really. And look, check out this cover from Dragon Ball Super here. Moro. This was actually a pretty good arc. I didn't particularly read the Dragon Ball Super arc. I've never really paid much attention to it. I've seen the movies, but I do follow Geekdom 101 who reviews it, and the Moro arc was definitely very interesting, particularly Vegeta's arc. Eventually I'll get to that. Dixon then questioned, "Why would you want to read this crap if you had a choice of reading a genre that you prefer, be it horror or mystery or espionage or even golf? When there's only one flavor in American comics, of course Japanese comics are going to win the day." He went on, "The biggest problem here is that all I see American comic book creators, the people in the mainstream do, is complain about manga." That's right, that one dude, what the fuck was his name? The, Conway, the guy who created The Punisher. He was going on about, talking about like lolly, about the pedophilia or whatever in manga. That probably is there in the adult manga, but that's how the women are drawn. You know, Rebecca, let's go back to her. You know, the whole idea is for her to be attractive, you know? And there's adult and hentai stuff there. I haven't ventured quite there yet, but it is there, and they constantly point to that and say, "It's all sexual." It's like, dude, remember when Wonder Woman was actually hot? Remember when She-Hulk was hot? Why can't you guys go back to that? Remember when Captain Marvel was hot as Miss Marvel? Where were we? Well, that's all you complain about the sales. If you look at the graphic novel sales, Demon Slayer is like the top of everything. That's like selling like hotcakes. I guess because of the movie too that just came out. Everyone wants to get into that. Well, why don't you learn from manga? Why don't you look at what manga is doing and do that? Exactly, dude. But they can't. Look at this. What is this? Whatever teacher. The story of Mafuyu's final year. I mean, I don't even know what the hell this is, but it's like, it looks cool. Persona 5 even has a manga. How awesome is that? Dixon then offered a solution for American comics to compete. And I don't mean draw people with huge eyes and lots of speed lines. I mean do more varied stories. Correct. Do more horror. There's a great genre that people are into is horror. Do more complex stories. Put more effort into the artwork. Put more effort into the craft. Change the format, for God's sakes. Stop doing folio comics. Look what manga does. Hold on. Let's get an example right now. I'll be right back. So what he's saying there, I do like the Power Rangers series. This is, however, $4 and, I don't know, 28, 32 pages. This is 180 pages. Retails for $10.99. Right Stuff sells it for like $7.50. It's a no-brainer. It's essentially double the price as this. And just look at it. I know it's in black and white, but I mean, still. And you know, I really should just wait for trades because I could get the Power Rangers trade for, I don't know, $15. I think Boom sells them cheaper than Marvel and DC. But that's it right there. You know, just sell graphic novels. People would like to read a full story. With this Eden Zero, I read the full arc. This, I'm reading one issue of the 6-story arc. That's what he's saying there. Big fat telephone books. Comics released weekly. That's the thing too. And, you know, again, I go back to Eden Zero because that's what I'm reading. Mashima has, I believe, 3 assistants. The story comes out every week with Kodansha Comics. And, you know, he's obviously the brains of the story. He's got his assistants. He's probably drawing stuff. He's got the assistants doing the backgrounds, shading, whatever. They get the work done once a week. What does Marvel and DC do? 1 book a month, and even then, most of the time the writer stays, but the artist constantly changes. The artist will do 2 issues and then disappear. That's what he's saying there. Things like change the formula. Look at what manga doing. Why is manga successful? And that's the thing too. With Japan, they're reading it on their tablets, their phones, with their apps. Shonen Jump app, Kodansha. It's great. However, he hedged. Of course, if they tried to copy it, just like they did in the 90s here in the United States, they would get it all wrong. They don't know what they're doing, and they have no interest. They're just going to complain about it as if that's going to get them any more readers. Damn right. I am done. When I did my video ranting about Detective Comics almost a month ago now, I haven't bought a single DC comic. I know Nuke has recommended Catwoman, and I did enjoy the few Catwoman issues, but on principle, I'm done. I'm still going to go to my shop once a month and get my poll with Power Rangers. I think I'm going to cut more stuff, but really the only thing I'm going to continue reading is Power Rangers, and probably Berserker. But aside from that, it's fucking garbage, and it's too expensive. And there's so much more variety with manga. That's exactly right. And I didn't even know Persona 5 had a manga. Like, this is a fucking video game. But Atlas, look at that. Atlas has its name on it. Dixon then lamented, "It's so sad. It's a sad state of affairs. It's sad that this dude is relegated to working with Vox Day." And, I mean, I'd imagine he got his work done with Richard C. Meyer, but that fucker can't even put the book out with Chuck Dixon Expendables. And Dixon is a Hall of Fame writer. He's fantastic. He has such a great library of work. Everybody saw it coming. It had to happen. There has to be winners and losers. As the American comic book sales fall, something has to replace it. Manga's right there. It's popular. I know my kids know kids who read manga. They don't know anyone who reads American comics. All the kids that my kids know who read manga are just casual readers. They're not fans. They're not, well, I'd beg to differ on that. They're not geeks. They're not going to, see, I don't know. You might be wrong there. They just like reading manga. They like reading it on their phone. It's so easy. The Shonen Jump app is so cheap and so readily available. However, I do like the physical media. Like with this, again, keep going back to Eden Zero. There's 15 volumes. I think 150 chapters. I can catch up on the app, but I want the physical copy. It's just the way I am. They like reading it in books. There you go. I don't see the mainstream, the big two, ever catching up. So the thing is, another example of that, you have Robert Kirkman with Firepower, which has 3 or 4 trades out right now. And what he does is when issue 12 just came out, the week after the trade came out collecting issues 7 to 12, he's an exception to that. But with Marvel and DC, you'll get the story arc, right? The 6 issues, and then like 6 months later, the graphic novel will come out. They're so late with that, and it's dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. So I think we're almost done here. Here's another one. Like, look at this little vampire guy. I mean, I don't know what the hell that's even about. 79 volumes. The same people go on and keep writing it, and it's fantastic. What do you make of Dixon's exclamation. Yep, he hit the nail on the head. Absolutely correct. And I honestly, at this point, have no interest in reading any current Marvel and DC ever. Honestly, I do have graphic novels that I've yet to read that I bought on In-Stock Trades on sale. At some point I'll read. But from this point forward, I mean, I'm going to continue with Eden Zero. I have my review of Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out coming out later on in the week. I have another series I'm going to begin starting. And there's so much more variety of manga. I can't wait to explore more. I really can't. And I know I'm a little late to the party, but I'm here now. And absolutely correct, the mainstream comic industry is full of a bunch of rejects who are the fucking weirdest people you ever meet, and they're just jealous. They are so jealous of the fact that manga is so popular. Going back and watching old anime is so much more fulfilling and entertaining than any of the new shit out here. Like, I see people complaining, the typical crowd, all going on about Black Widow. I didn't watch Black Widow. I don't even have Disney Plus. I have no interest in watching Black Widow. I didn't see any of those shows. I didn't see WandaVision. I didn't see Loki. I didn't see The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No interest in any of those shows. The most recent thing, I tried to watch Cobra Kai Season 3, with Sailing the Seas, and I couldn't even get that. I got it like 2 episodes in. It was fucking terrible, and I did like the first 2 seasons. And there's something about the new, mainstream entertainment. It's all garbage. It's so bad. There's very few exceptions. I did like the new Mortal Kombat movie. I understand A Quiet Place 2 is pretty good, but I don't know. I don't care anymore. There's so much more good stuff to fall back on. As far as reading material, American comics are shit. Manga is the way to go. I know there's still people that are that watch my videos and I watch their videos that are sort of hesitant for manga. They don't really like the art style, but even getting around the art style, I've grown to really appreciate the art style. And again, my girl, I'm thirsted over her. Again, the women are so attractive. Go back into an old Marvel and DC book from 10 years ago, you'll see women like that. But nowadays, they're all dreadful. Wonder Woman looks like crap. Harley Quinn looks like crap. Catwoman, maybe it looks okay, because I guess Nuke said that book is good. But, oh man, it's just bad. Chuck Dixon hit it on the head, and that's just the way it is. So, let me know your thought in the comments down below, and stay tuned. Later in the week, I'll have my review of Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out Volume 1, more Let's Play Super Mario World, and all sorts of other fun stuff coming on the channel soon. So have a great day, everybody. Take care.